Welcome in episode 36 of the Print Fest DFS podcast. My name is Justin Rue, alongside Scott Bandy. We're here to break down our Week 6 Draftkings main slate cash game lineups. Scott, how was your Week 6?
Finally got back on the right track. We made some money this week. Finally, it had to end someplace with a 4-week skid, but felt pretty good about this week going in. It was lineup construction I thought was pretty straightforward. It's just about choosing the right guys. Thankfully, we did, and we made some money.
Yeah, so we both ended up splitting with what we went with this week. So we both played this lineup here on the right of Heineke, Darrell Henderson, Darrell Williams, Cooper Kupp, Terry McLaurin, Keenan Allen, RSJ, Kareem Hunt, and Browns D. And then we also played a separate lineup where we had a 2v2. But the main thing is we both played Cooper Kupp in both of our lineups, and he scored 37 points. So, it was beautiful. Just beautiful. Cooper Kupp basically took us where we needed to go. The line to cash was around 133, 135, around that range. And this lineup with Heineke and McLaurin still put up 137. My other lineup scored 156. What did your other lineup put up?
My other lineup, 2v2 for me was T. Higgins and Browns, I believe. And I have 141.
Okay. Yeah, so that one was still there too. So, absolutely solid day. So let's just start at quarterback. I think we talked about it on Friday. There was basically two quarterbacks that were in play. These were the two highest owned quarterbacks in the slate, Lamar Jackson and Taylor Heineke. They both ended up shitting the bed, but they were the two highest owned quarterbacks on the slate. I think Lamar ran pretty bad. They blew the doors off of the Chargers, and he not even score a touchdown? But 13.78. So still had like 50 rushing yards. I feel perfectly fine about Lamar. I'll probably be going back to him next week because he's the same price.
Yeah, I think he threw one touchdown to Andrews, but he really did run bad. Like all three of the dusty-ass Ravens running backs scored. Le'Veon Bell scored, Devontae Freeman scored, and Latavius Murray scored. And honestly, they just had their way with the Chargers defense. We've talked about it before. The Chargers just want you. They literally ask you to run against them. The Ravens are the wrong team to say that to. Regardless of who they have in the backfield, they're just going to run down your throat. And the Chargers ended up paying the price for it. Lamar didn't have to do much through the air, so we did run bad. The Chargers just did little to nothing in this game at all. So it just ran bad. And then Heineke, God, I don't know what the hell happened to Heineke. I don't know how he imploded like this against this Kansas City defense. I said previously in the week that I thought it would be impossible for him to not succeed outside of injury. But I don't know what the hell happened here. Like 39 attempts for 182 yards is just putrid. That is so bad.
Yeah, and he had no rushing yards either, which was totally odd because he's had a decent rushing floor, averaging 25 rushing yards per game this year. So, having not even getting the rushing floor from him at all. Yeah, 10 points, obviously not what you wanted. And we know Heineke's not a good player. It was all matchup based.
Right.
We know he's a career backup. But he had solid games so far this year. He had 23 points against Buffalo, is the best defense in the league. He's had some nice matchups here with Atlanta and with the Giants, blew the doors off them. So, 5,800. I would play him again in that spot. I think the biggest thing with playing Heineke and McLaurin is we wanted to get exposure to Terry McLaurin. So, we knew that, he was going to be an awesome play until Friday when we saw that he had a hamstring injury and he didn't practice. So that kind of took me off of him. But then, we got the Shefty bombs on Saturday night and comes in, always expected to play. And so, I was leaning towards this lineup on the left. And then I was like, I got to get exposure to Terry McLaurin. He's 7,100. It's against the worst defense in the NFL. This is going to be a blow-up spot for him. And he ended up playing. I believe he ran a route on 38 of Taylor Heineke's 39 dropbacks. So he was out there. He was doing wind sprints. And it's kind of is what it is,
Yeah, that's the thing. We completely fading Terry McLaurin in the spot was scary. he ended up not being nearly as chalky as we thought because it seemed like a lot of people got off of him due to the hamstring. And that's the one injury that is like really, really scary when you're rolling a guy out there if he's got a messed up hammy. I think he ended up being around, 17%, I think,
Right.
if I'm
Yep.
remembering correctly.
Yep.
And so basically we just split because we wanted to have some kind of, avenue to Terry McLaurin's ceiling game. It's worth mentioning, like he had 159 air yards and 8 targets in this game, which is pretty solid. If you're going to tell me we're going to get that from Terry McLaurin this week, you're going to slot him out there. So we kind of ran bad here. He just couldn't connect with Heineke this week, but regardless, it still ended up working out. But that was really just the game theory behind our split this week.
Right. And I typically don't like this split, but sometimes it makes sense when you really want to get exposure to certain guys. You can't play everybody in one lineup. It's only 9 guys you can play in one lineup. So,
and it was scary to roll 100% Terry McLaurin because if he tweaks that hamstring mid game, your slate's over.
Yeah.
So that's really what it was. We just, we wanted avenues with that ceiling performance, but we also wanted to protect ourselves in case of a re-injury. So that was really why. 50-50 there.
And I thought there was a chance that both lineups end up getting there, and they both end up getting there. So it was fine. So moving over to running back, we ended up going with Kareem Hunt. He was the biggest chalk on the slate, 62% owned. He ended up getting hurt in this game, kind of underperformed, only scored 10.8 points. Whatever. I mean, Kareem Hunt without Nick Chubb is an auto play every time. So I'm fine with it.
Yeah, I mean, he still had 3 receptions, 66 rushing yards, whatever. The Browns, they kind of stunk in this game. And we knew there was some kind of avenue for him not to perform. They had a banged up center. Both their tackles were out. The Cardinals defense isn't disgustingly bad, even though they've been pretty bad on a per touch basis to running backs. But like a 6,200 with no Chubb, like I don't care what the outcome was. You just had to play him because just the workload that he's going to see, it's just that price tag. Like he was easily the best play on the slate.
Yep. So Darrell Henderson was our other running back here. And so if Darrell Henderson, he was like 48% owned, he was the second highest owned running back on the slate, scored 24.7 points. I mean, scored a couple touchdowns, had a receiving touchdown. I mean, the Rams are just throttling the Giants all day long. And Darrell Henderson he's a bell cow. As long as he doesn't get hurt, he is a bell cow. Sonny Michel is relegated to backup. He's just mop up duty. Henderson is a total beast. He was way too cheap at 6K. He was locked in from day one. When this slate came out, I was like, all right, Henderson 6K, let's go. Giants stink.
Yep, it was out there for 81% of the snaps. We talked about it on Friday. They were 10-point favorites against a bad defense. That's a perfect spot for a running back, and especially at 6K. The Rams might be the best offense in the league as well. Like they really might be. They got to be at least top 3. So he was just a lock all week.
Absolutely. And then let's go over our decision to play Darrell Williams over Khalil Herbert, because Khalil Herbert was the 3rd highest owned running back on the slate at 45%. Darrell Williams was, I believe, the 6th highest owned running back on the slate at 14.7% in double up. So this was a big decision that a lot of people had to go over. So Khalil Herbert was 4,600 as a big dog, 7-point dog taking on Green Bay. And Darrell Williams was 4,900, so $300 more expensive, which really didn't matter on this slate. I mean, defense is kind of whatever. So basically the same price. And as a 10-point favorite, against Washington or whatever they were favored. Maybe it wasn't 10, it was like 7-point favorites against Washington. So typically like running backs when they're home and favored. Darrell Williams was not at home, but he was favored. He was attached to the best offense in the NFL. He ended up scoring a touchdown on the first drive. I believe he already had like 9 points after the first drive. And Herbert also did score a touchdown on the first drive as well. Herbert was a good play. He really was. He ended up scoring 19.2 at 4,600. People who played him should be happy with him. But Darrell Williams at 4,900 ended up putting up 23.9, scored twice. And that's just kind of thing you can come to expect on a guy that's going to be the lead running back for the Chiefs. He played 75% of the snaps. he was their lead running back. If you're lead running back for the best offense in the league, you're going to perform. You're going to have touchdown expectation. And I definitely prefer Darrell Williams to Khalil Herbert. But it seems like the field did not. They definitely preferred Khalil Herbert, and we were in the minority there, and we ended up getting the right pick there. So, yeah, what are your thoughts on that situation?
Yeah, I thought obviously both these guys were pretty solid plays with their price tags, but for me, I'm thinking through who I want to go to war with. Do I want to go to war with a team that is a 7-point dog with Matt Nagy at head coach, with Justin Fields at quarterback, and they refuse to throw? No. When I have a guy who's $300, more expensive, who's still an amazing value, who's going to be the lead back on a team quarterback by Patrick Mahomes. They were 7.5-point favorites against a terrible defense. Their head coach is Andy Reid, and he's going to catch passes. Like, I don't know. For me, it was pretty cut and dry that Darrell was the better play. Just better offense. The implied total for the Bears was like 19. Chiefs had a 31 implied total. So you got that, better coach, better game environment, playing a worse defense. Like, I thought everything just added up for Darrell to be a better play than Herbert. And I thought they were both fine. And I did have some back and forth, but I ended up on Darrell for those reasons. And I don't know. I just thought it was pretty clear that he was just he had better outlook for the day.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. It was a close decision, but I'm happy with the decision to roll with Darrell, regardless of the result. And obviously the result was in our favor in that decision. So wide receiver, the first guy I went with is Cooper Kupp, and he put up 37, the highest scoring wide receiver on the slate. He's done this multiple times now. He came into the week not having a game of less than double-digit targets. Again, he went for 9, 130, and 2 on 12 targets. He's just an absolute beast. And I think we have to talk through the decision of playing Cooper Kupp over Davante Adams, because Cooper Kupp was $1,100 cheaper at $7,900 when Davante Adams was up at $9K. Adams has a slightly higher target share than Cooper Kupp, but in terms of raw targets, they're really similar just because the Rams throw more than the Packers do, and they play at a faster pace than the Packers do. So I thought the target expectation was going to be pretty similar to Davante Adams, and the matchup was a little bit better here, taking on the Giants. For the $1,100 discount, I thought Cooper Kupp was a better play than Adams, and they were both 24% owned in these double ups. So Adams scored 12.9, Cooper Kupp scored 37. We were on the right side, and that's one of the main reasons that we smashed this week.
Yeah, for me, above all else, it was just the $1,100 in salary, or $1,200, whatever it was. He just made things fit better in my lineup, especially if I wanted to go with Lamar. It was hard for me to fit Lamar and Adams in a lineup that I felt pretty strong about. So being able to move him down got me in an area where I could, I thought the Browns defense was pretty strong. Clearly I was wrong about that. And, the sub 5K range with receiver was just hard. So it allowed me to get up to T. Higgins in my Lamar lineup. And then obviously the 2v2 swap with Heineke and McLaurin that just ended up fitting. But yeah, the Rams had a better implied total, a better matchup. The Giants defense is far worse than the Bears defense. We know what the Bears want to do on offense. They just want to grind the clock out with freaking Matt Nagy, dude. All he wants to do is run. He literally could not care about actually attempting to win a football game. So just the pace of play in that game was terrible. Green Bay had a worse implied total, just a worse game environment in general. And Cooper Kupp, he's just a total alpha. Like, I don't think he's that different from Davante Adams right now. Like, it's just week in, week out, 10 plus targets. He's locked into red zone usage. He's the clear alpha receiver on that team. It was another, relatively dud game from Robert Woods outside of the touchdown he scored. I think he only had 2 receptions in this game and 5 targets. So moving forward, I really think we have to start viewing Cooper Kupp more in that range with Davante Adams and Tyreek Hill, because it's really not different at all at this point.
And his connection with Matt Stafford is evident. I mean, these guys, the breakfast narrative is in full force. So yeah, Cooper Kupp was an awesome play, and he was one of the main reasons that we smashed this week. So we love Cooper Kupp. We end up going with Keenan Allen. He had double-digit points again. He's had double-digit points in every game. So he has a nice floor, but the problem is he's been hitting so many floor games in a row here. He has yet to really hit a ceiling game. Isn't really scoring touchdowns at all. But process-wise, I think taking on Baltimore, they're a pretty average pass defense at this rate. I mean, they're not the defense that they used to be. And I love attaching my wide receivers to an elite quarterback. Justin Herbert is absolutely a beast. He had a shitty game. The entire Chargers team had a terrible game, and Keenan Allen still ended up having 10 points, so he didn't completely crush us at 6,400. Obviously not what you want. You want more in the range of 18, 19 points at that price, but the 10 points didn't absolutely kill us. And I was fine with Keenan because he's another guy who's a total target hog, gets 10 targets a game. His ADOT is just not, what it used to be. His ADOT's around 8 yards now. So he needs to get that volume to really pay off.
Yeah, I texted you on Sunday. I literally texted you and said, Keenan Allen only goes off if I don't play him. If I fade Keenan Allen, he has 9 for 112 and a touchdown in this game. Like, I swear to God. Mm-hmm. Like, he had 5.2 ADOT in this game. That's just disgusting. Only 5 targets in a game where they got blown to shreds. I don't understand how you only saw 5 targets in this game. God, I just can't get Keenan Allen right. I literally just can't do it. Every single freaking time I play this dude, he just is mediocre. But it's hard not to play him because he's still Keenan Allen. He still has a great target share. But I just wish he would pay off for me at some
point. I know. Because he keeps getting the targets, and he's just maybe he's dust. I don't know. But he doesn't look dust, though. I mean, watching the games, like he's still running solid routes. He's making great catches. I mean, he's just it'll work out for him eventually. He's still, like I said, he still has double-digit points in every game. He's got a nice floor. He's in an elite offense. He's eventually going to hit for some ceiling games here. I think that's just kind of the way it goes. I think it's kind of how variance rolls, and he's going to be fine in the long run for the whole season. So you end up going with T. Higgins, and I end up going with Brandon Cooks. And so I'll talk through the Brandon Cooks play. Brandon Cooks has major splits in domes compared to outside of domes, taking on Indianapolis. And, the only issue that Brandon Cooks has is Davis Mills. Outside of that, I mean, he has a massive, massive target share. I mean, he's got like a 34% target share on the year. And he's taking on a terrible Indianapolis defense that was like 30th DVOA against the pass. So I loved Brandon Cooks in the spot. I thought this was a chance for him to truly explode. He ended up putting up, I believe, 9 for 89 and had 17.9 points. Didn't get into the box, but scoring damn near 18 points without getting into the box is pretty solid at 6K. He was 5,800. So I felt great about the Brandon Cooks play. You want to talk through T. Higgins?
Yeah, I just thought T. Higgins was just way underpriced. I just thought he had no business being cheaper than Tyler Boyd. He was 5,300. Against a bad defense. The interesting thing with T. Higgins, he didn't end up getting there, but he only played 57% of the snaps. He's had 6 targets. That was 20% of the team target share. But I don't know what's going on with the snaps list last week. Maybe they were just coming slow with him off the injury. I really don't know. But I just thought T. Higgins was just too cheap. It fit with my Lamar build perfectly. I will say that I definitely overlooked Brandon Cooks a little bit. I got scared off by Davis Mills. That is really the only problem I saw with Brandon Cooks in that spot. I mean, Indy's defense is not good. He's killed them. Like you said, the dome splits is just it's just so difficult to trust Davis Mills. But Cooks is clearly the correct play. I think what was our 2v2 was Cooks and Lions versus Higgins and Browns.
Right.
Browns defense just got pummeled. Like, holy crap! I thought with Kingsbury out and Kyler potentially being a little bit banged up, that maybe the Browns could get. They're obviously one of the best teams at getting pressure on the quarterback in the league, but man, they got trucked. So didn't get there, but thankfully, the combination of Henderson and Darrell Williams and Cooper Kupp that helped get me there regardless.
Yep. So at tight end, Ricky Seals-Jones, he was the total chalk. He was like 57% owned. So I saw some lineups where people did play Ricky Seals-Jones and Travis Kelce. That was not the route I was going on this slate. I thought running back value was just too strong that you had to play all three running backs this week. I don't think that rolling with RSJ and Kelce was the play. And I was definitely not going to play RSJ, even though Kelce was underpriced at 7K. I mean, RSJ, Jesus. I mean, he played 100% of the snaps this week, at 3K. And he had been playing, 99% of the snaps. He's out there. He had a 15% target share in this game. He had 6 targets. He got into the box. 15.8 points from a guy who's 3K is a total smash. And I feel great about the process of it. And next week, it's even better. He's only 3,700. So I'm going to play him again. I mean, why is he so cheap? He's getting the same exact usage as Logan Thomas, and he's probably just about as good as Logan Thomas. So I'm just going to keep playing him until he's over 4K because he's getting top 5 tight end usage, and just keep playing him.
Yeah, I don't know. They still haven't priced this dude up, even despite him smashing his price and at ownership that was like what 56% or something like that.
Yeah,
like you thought he would have been priced something more than 37, so he must have just slid under the rug in their algorithm. But yeah, like we talked, a 3K, he played 100% of the snaps. I don't see data on how many routes he ran, but probably 85-90% of dropbacks if I were to guess.
Yeah.
I just don't know. Like I thought these running back plays were too high priority to slide Kelce and RSJ in. I didn't want to fade Henderson, Kareem Hunt, or Jonathan Taylor. I ended up fading one to get Darrell Williams in because I thought he was a good value play. So I ended up fading Jonathan Taylor. There's no way I was going to fade 2 of them to put Kelce in for a double tight end build. So Kelce's always in play. He's way too cheap last week, but that's just not the route that I saw myself going this week.
Yeah, I'm right there with you on that. And then defense, I mean, who really cares? I ended up going with Lions defense. You went with Browns. In the Heineke lineup, we had the Browns. At home, Cliff Kingsbury, the head coach of Arizona, was out. This game was supposed to be windy. I guess it wasn't windy at all. The Browns are a pretty decent defense. They got fucking smoked. It is what it is. This is why you don't pay up for defense. And we didn't really pay up. I mean, they were 2,600. But this is why we always punt it off, because it's so volatile. It's hard to predict. You just punt it off with the cheapest viable defense. That's kind of the way you go. Defense is whatever. But yeah, I just checked on target shares, and Cooper Kupp this week had a 40% target share. And he had 52% of the team's air yards. There's a reason that he's going off like this, because when you get 40% of the targets and 52% of the air yards in an offense that scores 38 points, you're going to absolutely shred. So this is just an elite offense. He's an elite player. He's really elevated. He never used to be. I mean, he used to be like a 24-25% target share guy. He's really elevated his game. And I mean, on the season, what's his target share up to? He's up to 34% on the season. So Devontae Adams up to 36%. So he's right there. He's right there with these top guys. So
yeah, I honest to God, I don't see this changing either. I just think
we're 6 weeks in. We're 6 weeks in, and he's getting the same target share that he's gotten week 1. So typically with the way I like to look at data is I look at the last 5 weeks rolling, and so the last 5 weeks, he's averaging, including this week, he's averaging 33.5% of the targets. That to me, that's when numbers start to stabilize. Just use a 5-week rolling average the rest of the way. So for next week, I'll use from weeks 2 to week 6. And I mean, he's third in the NFL in target share. Devontae Adams is 39.9%. Brandon Cooks 35.5%, and Cooper Kupp 33.5%. So Cooper Kupp's a boss. He was an awesome play. People who played Devontae Adams over him got what they rightly deserved, and we profited. So, anything else to touch on this slate?
Terry McLaurin hurt my feelings.
Yeah,
big time. He hurt my feelings.
was
I
tough.
was live in a GPP, and all I needed was a freaking Terry McLaurin to do anything. Even freaking Robbie Anderson got in the box for me at the end of that game. Terry McLaurin was my lowest scoring player on the team, man. If he would have scored or done anything, I might be a little happier today. But yeah, he hurt my feelings. So did Taylor Heineke.
Yeah. That's what happens when you trust Washington players. They bone you. So with that, that's going to do it for episode 36 of the podcast. We're going to be back on Friday breaking down week 7. Can't believe it's already week 7. But we'll be back on Friday breaking down the week 7 DraftKings main slate. And until then, you'll play some Showdown. Good luck, everybody.